Joe, the state of Tennessee take on one another this week. Actually, the Alabama Killers. How about that? Vandy and Tennessee, both teams who beat the University of Alabama. Your thoughts going into Vandy versus Tennessee with a potential injured Diego Pavia?
The injury with Diego Pavia is definitely something I'm paying close attention to. And I think that is going to aggressively impact the outcome of this. If he plays, though, dude, I can never count out Vanderbilt. I don't think that the upset's going to occur here. I don't think that there's a reason to believe that Vandy pulls this thing out, but 10.5-point spread. We're giving a lot of spreads out this week from Bet Online. I wouldn't be afraid to touch Vanderbilt to cover. Vanderbilt's at home going up against a Tennessee team that maybe is already reading their headlines saying that, like, oh, look, we just got to finish the year and we're in the playoff. Maybe they catch them off guard. If we're just being realistic here, though, what Tennessee does so well is their defensive front that we have lauded this entire season. The physicality that they play with, the athletes that they just have on their front that they could keep bringing in. There's a lot of guys that are going to go on to be productive NFL players on that team. I think that this is one of those situations where Vanderbilt, while they've had success against other opponents, that Tennessee is going to be able to stand up and stop them a little bit better than everybody else has against the run. They put up a fight. They always do. Vanderbilt will always scrap and claw and cover late and do whatever they can to stay in football games. But if I'm without Diego Pavia and they're just trying to go back to a different style approach and they can't do the same type of concepts to confuse opposing defenses, I feel pretty good about Tennessee's defense stepping up into this matchup, shutting things down, and getting the job done.
Pavia. So, look, I got a very up-close and personal look at Diego Pavia last week.
Yeah.
My man's hurt. Joe, I mean, I don't think he can throw. I mean, I know he had the deep shot early, but after the adrenaline worn off, man, he was throwing ducks that even Oregon would smile when they saw this. He's hurt. Now, the Johnson kid, the backup, my man can fly, and he plays into their system. I would be more worried about that kid than Diego Pavia at the current moment, if I'm being honest, because you have not prepared for him. You haven't seen what they do there. But if I'm Tennessee, I'm like, look, man, defensively, we've been pretty stout all year, though, right? And I got to be real with you. I think Vandy is fading a little bit because they don't have the depth. Last week, Joe, they were 36 in the country, okay, in rushing defense. They're still tied for 36. Look, I'll give them this. Their front seven is not bad, but, man, their secondary is really bad. I mean, again, I got to see them literally up close and personal this past weekend, and I'm watching what they're doing. Joe, they don't have the guys at safety. They don't have the guys at corner. I would lean on Nico. I would say, listen, outside of the front seven getting home, that's where most of the havoc's been wrecked and why they've generated turnovers. That back end is not good. And if Pavia, if Nico Imalava is throwing interceptions, it's going to be on the hey, man, our wide receiver core and our quarterback are having issues. They're not good at all covering dudes down. Now, I understand that they're 26 in the country in passing defense. They want to play time of possession. Now, why have they kept games close versus LSU, beat Bama, keep a game close against Texas? They played old school football that today's kid doesn't understand or know about. They're going to play special teams. They're going to snap the ball with 1 second left on the clock. They're going to run triple option principles. And the truth of it is, they're going to 3-yard and a cloud of dust you. They're going to go for it on fourth down and make you stop them. That is who Vandy is. And it's the simple fact of it is, Joe, if you give them up a first down, that's an extra probably 2 minutes of time of possession that you're wasting. If you're Tennessee, you have to come out in this game and strike fast. Go out there guns blazing. You know what I want to see from them this week? I know that you want to get Dylan Sampson involved, and it's a damn shame that Dylan Sampson's not on the Doak Walker Award list. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Man, I want you to come out there and go full Josh Heupel and run that tempo that you've been doing. Because this is exactly how you can go up and beat Vandy. Their style of football is they want to tone it down. They want to go slow. They want to be as fast as molasses in December in Jersey. Okay? They want to be as slow as humanly possible. I would speed everything up. And listen, I saw a team in Vandy last week that got broken when they're just pure athletes all around on the perimeter. I mean, Joe, they're getting shook in open field by a walk-on. Their starters are. And I'm like, look, man, I've covered this LSU team long enough to know that if this kid's doing this, oh, heavens to Betsy. This is not good. I would come out guns blazing, throwing the ball all over the place. Let's go put 63 on these hoes.
I think you bring up one thing really interesting here for Tennessee is it's been really odd that Tennessee has not been as potent offensively this entire year that we would have hoped and expected, especially after the ridiculous start to the season that they had just for overall production. I got to see what their passing attack does bouncing back from the Georgia loss. They've been not scraping by, but they've been producing just enough to win games against Alabama, against Kentucky, against Mississippi State. That Mississippi State was handedly, but they won by 10 against Kentucky. They won by 7 against Alabama, and the passing attack was just not up to the standard that we would be hoping for. And it all came crashing down, it felt like, against Georgia in that second half, where they couldn't find any big plays. They couldn't find anything. Nico looked rough in that second half. You need to see, I think, in this game, a little bit more passing production. What does Nico do? They're going to try and do everything that they can to take away DeLeone Sampson like they've done all year long. Vanderbilt has tried to take away opposing teams' rushing attacks and has done it moderately successfully. Their defense has been stouter than people realize. The most that they've given up in the last 5 games was 28 points to South Carolina. So whatever they try to do, they're going to try and remove DeLeone Sampson from the equation. What can Nico do? Can he create for his playmakers? Can he set his guys up in space? Can this offense actually produce through the air like it's supposed to? I'm very keyed on that because we were really hoping to get fireworks this year for the Volunteers, and it hasn't shown up.
No, we have gotten fireworks. It just didn't come the way that we wanted it to come. It's come in the running game.
That's fair.
By the way, DeLeone Sampson should sue the Doak Walker Awards.
O'Marion Hampton should not be a finalist over him. I still can't believe that is. And again, we're going to talk about it a little bit deeper tomorrow, but Genty and Caleb Johnson, I get them being finalists and Genty ending up winning it, but DeLeone Sampson not being one of the finalists after having 22 touchdowns and 1,300 yards rushing and being the reason why this team has scored points when the passing game hasn't shown up. You're right. It's bullshit. It's ridiculous.
I want to see full Josh Heupel. I want to see guns blazing. I want to see the receivers catch the ball too.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.